value. Now, what's important to note there is that Mayor Summers told me on April 8th of this year that the estimated demolition costs and other wind down costs, the total wind down cost would be $26 million. But we've already taken, $3.6 million out of the, that money to tear down the clinic's property. So, again, of this $27 million, it seems a bit extreme. Not sure what else there is to this.
So it's a giveaway to the clinic.
Oh yes.
It's a bonanza.
Yes, because here's the duty. The Lakewood Hospital Association, the sole member of Lakewood Hospital Association, which again is a charitable organization, is the clinic, and it has trustees, LHA trustees we call them. All of them, under the rules of their charter, their trust agreement in Columbus, say it's supposed to operate a hospital for the citizens of Lakewood, including the underserved and those that can't afford to pay. Mm-hmm. And so they all have duties to adhere to that mission. And in this case, and they certainly have a duty not to give assets to the sole member for the sole member's benefit or any of the trustees' benefits. But in this case, it's very clear, given the values and what the clinic's getting, is the clinic is the primary major beneficiary of the value and properties of the Lakewood Hospital Association. So it would appear that they're violating their duties in that regard to the people. And even in the past election, there was much advertisement money spent by the Cleveland Clinic or the Lakewood Hospital Association to promote this economic development plan in the downtown Lakewood area, which would violate their mission. Their mission was to run a hospital. Now, what makes this result attain, or what has come about, was they allowed the Lakewood Hospital Association, including Mayor Summers and two council people, Councilman Bullock and Councilwoman Madigan, were part of this 23-member association. They formed a committee, hired this consultant that did the valuation, and undertook to attempt in a very short period of time solicit bids from other people. But the problem, or other entities, the problem with that process was that it wasn't made clear that the Cleveland Clinic would terminate its rights under the 1996 lease and definitive agreement, as it's called. And that process was very short-lived, and it was conducted by a group of volunteers. All the 23 members are volunteers. Several of them are Cleveland Clinic employees as well. And so it resulted in the guy with the inside track, the Cleveland Clinic, mm-hmm. getting the bid. And very few people responded, likely knowing that the clinic, there was no clear way to get the clinic out of this situation. So there's been no public bidding of these assets in any way. That was done in a private manner. It was done by volunteers, and it's become clear from the public record and litigation that is taking place in the taxpayer suit that the Cleveland Clinic and the Lakewood Hospital Association are in violation of the lease terms because services have been depleted, and part of the lease says you had to do services. The parking garage and other maintenance has been let go and is in a state of ill repair in certain respects. So they violated the lease. So in this case, it's akin to allowing the defaulting tenant mm-hmm. and its volunteer trustees mm-hmm. determine what the landlord is going to do with its property, instead of the landlord taking charge and advertising to release the property or to advertise the property for sale. So this whole thing, which amounts to the Cleveland Clinic buying Lakewood Hospital, or a good chunk of Lakewood Hospital, or the value of Lakewood Hospital, for the sum of $10.7 million, it is really done without a public bid, and it's like letting the tenant buy the building after the damage has been done to the building and the business in it that is owned by the landlord.
Yes.
So I don't know what else I might be able to add.
So simply put, if a bad tenant simply put, a bad tenant has told the landlord what the rules of the game are, and has told the landlord to take a hike. Is that a too simple? Is that too simplified?
Well, you might put it that way. I would say in a different way. We have, as one trustee told me, we have very powerful corporate interests at play here, and I think that they took advantage of city leaders. They have many of the trustees in fear or aligned with them. And it's very rare in this type of situation where you have every one of the trustees and now it appears every one of the city council people to go in favor of a deal that seems to make no sense in terms of the relative values and the relative rights of the parties. So I can't speak to what's in the mayor's head. It's certainly a failure of leadership. I would say it's weak leadership and a cowering to powerful corporate interests when the city has, in my opinion, very powerful rights as the landlord to take charge of the assets and liquidate them at the highest price or find another manager or tenant to operate it. That effort has really not taken place.
And there were three solid, I'll say, approaches from possible suitors that the city turned their backs on. And in other words, there was Metro, there was the corporation from Tennessee, Surgical Partners, and Dynamis.
Yeah, Dynamis, I think, was part of something that's not widely publicized. I've never seen their proposal, but the Cleveland Clinic did a proposal, two proposals. Now, the mayor denies that the second was a different proposal, but I've read both, and I believe that they're two separate proposals, but there will be a continuation of the first, but certainly much better terms in the second proposal than the first. And it was in alignment, and the one or the other of those were in alignment with a group practice of a large practice of doctors called Premier Physicians. I'm not sure where Dynamis came in, but clearly Surgical Development Partners appeared rather late in the game. In early October, they offered $9 million. They outbid the clinic by nearly $1 million. Cash deal. They expressed an interest in talking about downtown Lakewood. It's my understanding that Tom Gable, the chairman of LHA, refused to engage in any discussions and said that the property is not available. And then I obtained public records that show that Surgical Development Partners wanted to speak with the city and come to city council, and the city council did not take them up on their offer to come and explain what their vision for Lakewood was and their interest in continuing an acute care hospital, an emergency room in the existing hospital location and facility.
All right. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.